Welcome back. Well, we know it's World Breastfeeding Week, and while much focus is placed on the benefits of breastfeeding, it's also important to talk about the emotional toll it can take. Now, joining us is psychological counsellor intern from Geluk Psychology, Tamia Diergaardt, to unpack the link between breastfeeding challenges and postpartum depression and how we can better support mothers through this deeply personal journey. Tamia, good evening, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think this is not something that people would even think, interlink or, the one can sort of cause an effect on the other. But how closely are breastfeeding challenges and postpartum depression linked?
It's actually often deeply connected because, as we know, mothers struggle with latching, with pain, with low milk supply, and also overwhelmed by the pressure of simply breastfeeding. And so what happens is it leads to frustration and guilt and also a sense of failure. So it sort of festers up and it builds up to postpartum depression.
Yeah.
And it's also important to take note that these emotional responses, it can trigger or it can worsen postpartum depression. And it can even be I want to say exaggerated through the hormonal changes that are taking place in our bodies. And also combined with sleep deprivation, it can have a hectic bomb to it. However, these emotional shifts should not be seen as postpartum depression because a mother goes through a stage called baby blues.
Yes, how do you tell the difference? Like, oh, this is just baby blues, or like this is something way more serious?
Yeah. So you look at the duration. So baby blues, it starts after 1 to 2 days after childbirth, and it lasts up until 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, and it starts to fade. Postpartum depression, on the other hand, it comes 4 weeks, like almost a month, 2 months after childbirth. And it can even go into that whole first year of your baby being born. And some of the common symptoms that we know of baby blues is it's feeling overwhelmed. It's having mood swings, irritability. And this is all linked to the hormonal changes that are happening in the body. But it should only last for that 2 weeks. How you know it progresses into postpartum depression is if it lasts longer than a month. And yeah, so postpartum depression feels heavier and it lasts longer. And how you know there's a problem is if it interferes with your ability to take care of your child, with your baby, or even yourself. So that's why it's important to sort of navigate through this new journey of motherhood and keep on evaluating where you are at in your breastfeeding journey and in your motherhood journey.
Yeah. What kind of support should mothers be asking, Tamia, from partners, families, healthcare providers when they suspect that they're experiencing postpartum depression?
Yeah. So first of all, mothers, please realize that you are not alone in this and that you are allowed to ask for help. So some of the supports that mothers are allowed to ask is simply for emotional support. Emotional support can be asked from partners, from friends, from family members, to simply cultivate a space for them, a safe space for them to feel like they are heard and that their feelings are actually being validated. Because what happens is it builds up and it stays there. It doesn't have an outlet. And that's why it's important to ask and communicate that to the people around you. Another way can be practical care, of course, as we all know. Practical care in the sense of cooking, household responsibilities, cleaning, or even just watching the baby while you take a shower, you take a walk, and you eat something. You're just simply taking a break to recollect yourself. And lastly, also professional care. You can reach out to your doctor and tell him, listen, I'm not feeling so great in my body. What is it that's happening? And the doctor can explain to you as well. However, you can also reach out to psychologists or therapists, join a support group, and you can even get professional breastfeeding advice from like a lactation consultant who will walk you through the process and not make you feel judged with whatever decision that you make in regards to breastfeeding.
I also want to ask, for mamas who are already suffering from depression and then they get pregnant, Are they at higher risk for postpartum depression or not necessarily?
They are actually at higher risk of postpartum depression because remember, if depression is not dealt with, it's just carried over. And what makes it more difficult is that postpartum depression can just be worsened. So depression alone can trigger postpartum depression, but you already having depression and it's undealt with, it sort of builds up and it makes you more likely to fall into postpartum depression. Yeah.
Just lastly, Tamia, what message do you have for mamas who feel, overwhelmed, and for the general public in terms of how we can support new moms better during this, vulnerable time?
Yeah. So to every mother listening, it's important to know that you're not broken, you're not alone, and you're not a robot. You are a human being, and you are deeply worthy of being supported, valued, and heard. And the thing about motherhood is that it's raw, it's demanding, it's beautiful, yes, and it can be overwhelming at times. So just because you're struggling doesn't mean that you are failing. It simply means that you're running a bit on the low side, and it's important to pour into yourself. I always tell my clients that the more you pour into yourself, the more you have to give to the next person. And as a mother, and especially new mothers, we have this notion of saying, I need to simply push through. I need to be there for my baby. But if you're not there for yourself, who's going to show up for your baby? So take self-care as a step toward your child to feeling more connected, to feeling more emotionally connected, close with your baby. Because the more you stay in this, the more you're going to withdraw from your baby and detach from your baby. So, you're not alone, and ask for help.
Please ask for help.
Yes.
Tamia, thank you so much for being here this evening. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was Tamia Diergaardt from Geluk Psychology speaking to us.